instead of them lingering in the courts. But I think they can actually do much more than that.
Okay, how would you describe interagency collaboration between some of these agencies you mentioned, the ICPC, the EFCC? You know, you've been on the business desk for long. Do you think interagency collaboration is doing well?
I think for starters, yes, they're doing well. Is it what Nigerians are expecting? I doubt it. Okay. I think they can do much more because we're having this sort of interagency rivalry that happens everywhere, by the way, not just here. We have it all over the world that happens. But if we see some form of deeper synergy when we don't have agencies having to drag over issues, to bicker over situations, when they work together, when there's a harmony, for instance, and it now boils down to the issue of sharing data, and I'm glad that Nigeria is also a signatory to that. If we're sharing data with other countries in terms of financial crimes, then it means that we can also share data locally now in between agencies. So when we're sharing data, we're sharing communication, and then we're on the same database, which is one of those things that government is doing. That for me, I really like the fact that, okay, they are harmonizing our data now. You have your passports, your driver's license, your national identity number, and every other thing, your BVN in one place. So if it pops up at this agency and then you need something from the other agency, I think both agencies can actually work together instead of working in silos, because at the end of it all, national interest comes first.
All right, before I let you go, Leah, the Vice President is talking about expanding the scope of the whistleblower policy. What do you think needs to be done to, make Nigerians more aware of how they can come up to blow some whistles?
Okay, I think it's a good one. Also, it's a good one when we're talking about expanding the scope. Now, what are we expanding? It will be the first, communication.
Okay.
How aware are Nigerians? What do they know about giving out information? Then you look at the issue of trust. Do we trust the authorities to actually volunteer this information to them? Do we trust that what we're telling them is going to guarantee our safety? And still on trust, if it is agreed that whoever blows a whistle gets 10%, I mean, for crying out loud, once the monies are recovered, give the person the 10%. And then when these people are giving their testimonies, of course, it's going to spiral and it's going to give out more credibility on what the government is doing. And of course, I would also, in my opinion now, let's not just look at the federal agencies.
Okay.
Let's look at the subnationals. We have the states, the local government, 774. And then we also have the public sector who do business with the government agencies. For instance, if you're taking a contract and you do not fulfill the terms of agreement, I think a whistle should be blown at you for doing that. That's my opinion. And not just a whistle. You should pay dearly for not executing what you signed to do.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Leah Katun Babatunde. We've been speaking to our correspondent, Leah Katun Babatunde, on the whistleblower policy. And with that discussion, we've come to the end of this edition of Business Express. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube and on the NTA's YouTube channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter. The handle is at NTA News Now. And don't forget to use the hashtag BizX. Business Express returns Thursday at 9:30 a.m. I am Muplang Dakok saying stay safe.
Independence for Nigeria in 1960 is imperative. But independence for Nigeria as a corporate entity is not enough. The peoples of Nigeria must at the same time be guaranteed their freedom. We must ensure that in an independent Nigeria, individual citizens throughout the land enjoy liberty and equality under the law. There must be one Nigeria with one constitution and one law.
As a fellow member in this organization,
NTA News. To a new nation. This was the dramatic takeover by the new nation's own green and white flag.
Welcome to this segment on anti-corruption stories. I am Ruth Audi. ICPC has quizzed top management staff of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, over allegations of various acts of corruption, such as diversion of funds, procurement fraud, and misappropriation of the agency's COVID-19 funds. Some directors of NDDC were interrogated at the Commission's headquarters recently after months of intelligence gathering following the receipt of petitions from Nigerians on the alleged illegalities and contracts fraud by some officials of the agency. Top officials of the agency are being investigated for their complicity in an alleged diversion of 5.4 billion naira meant for the purchase of personal protective equipment, PPE, for health workers handling the COVID-19 pandemic in the 9 states of NDDC. The Commission is also investigating the payment of millions of naira to staff of the agency for foreign trainings during the COVID-19 full lockdown, which were never attended, as well as the non-payment of entitlements to students on foreign scholarships. Other allegations being investigated by ICPC include the selling of backdated contract award letters for projects and awards of contracts that were not captured in the budget of the NDDC. ICPC had already retrieved relevant documents with which to continue investigations towards the recovery of diverted funds and prosecution of breaches of the law. In another development, the Federal Executive Council, FEC, at its 20th meeting held Wednesday, 19th August 2020, has approved the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. The policy, which is the brainchild of ICPC, was co-sponsored by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, OSGF, and National Orientation Agency, NOA. The policy was approved for the good and ethical conduct of the Nigerian citizenry. The journey towards developing the policy on ethics and integrity for Nigeria commenced when the Commission developed the
And indeed, this ceremony and this activity is one of the key activities of our 20th anniversary. The Commission has power to set up offices in the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja, and to cascade down to local councils over time for effective coverage and implementation of his mandate. From inception until now, we have been operating in 15 functional state offices scattered around the 6 geopolitical zones, and each state office covers a contiguous state where we do not have an office. A number of these state offices are operating in rented apartments. Apart from the amount that we were spending on rent, the premises were not suitable for a law enforcement agency because it was not purpose-built and it lacked quite a number of necessary features for the discharge of our mandate. It was therefore imperative that in the fullness of time we will have to develop our own suitable design and develop property in all the states where we have offices, but of course subject to overcoming the major challenge of getting land. To reverse this trend of operating from rented offices, the Commission designed the prototype for the construction of complexes befitting its status, and in 2017, the National Assembly graciously appropriated funds for the construction of the ICPC prototype office complex in Oyo State. Let me, through the chairman of our committees in the National Assembly, Senator Al-Bukhari and Senator
Thank you very much, for giving me this opportunity to, congratulate Nigerians on the milestone of the attainment of 60 years of independence, and also congratulate the ICPC for attaining 20 years since its establishment. There's no doubt that this is a milestone in the life of the country, and of course a milestone in the life of the Commission. We want to commend the Commission for what it has accomplished, especially under the current board and management. There's no doubt that the ICP's profile has been raised very high by the current management, especially through its activities. And we want to commend the board for this accomplishment. With regard to the role that the National Assembly can play, there no doubt that the National Assembly, being a very important arm of government, has a role to play in supporting the fight against corruption, because corruption all over the world, I think, is a disease that is fought with all the tools that are available, because corruption deprives the nation, deprives the citizenry of development, deprives them of the basics of everyday life, and where it is allowed to thrive, I think the country and the economy hardly fares very well, and that is why it is important that corruption is fought. And this is not only unique to Nigeria, I think it's the world over. Even in developed society, I think there's a continuous effort to ensure that the citizens really get the best of the resources of the country by ensuring that corruption is mitigated. I mean, you may not be able to eliminate it completely, but I think it can be reduced to the barest minimum. And I think in this regard, I think the National Assembly is now ready, to work with the ICPC, to ensuring that it attains or achieves its goal, especially as it faces the next decade. Thank you very much. I think before I comment on that, I also wanted to throw more light, because there's been a lot of misconception regarding constituency projects. No legislator, whether a senator or a member of the House of Representatives, is given money directly for the execution of project. Because I've had people, allege that members receive this money and they don't see it, in the form of project in the constituency. We also want to commend the ICPC for attending 20 years since its establishment. The agency has come a long way, and in recent past, I think it has really, succeeded and making Nigeria, appreciate the role that it is playing. And we want to commend the board and management for what it's been doing over the past, couple of years, and to also assure the agency that the National Assembly is equally interested, and has the same goal, like the agency, which is to, reduce, the cases and incidences of corruption, so that Nigeria, can have the benefits of the scarce resources that we have. That is the only way we can improve in the lives of our citizenry, and we're really ready, to partner with them, and we want to assure them that as it's embarked on a journey over the next years, next decade, I think they should consider the National Assembly as a worthy partner, in this journey.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Section 15, subsection 5 of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution as amended empowers states to abolish corruption